in functional material at CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad. Currently, he is also the outstanding professor of Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research and earlier served as Dean and Associate Dean of Chemical Sciences, ASIR. Prior to joining CSIR, he has served Asian Cosmos R&D Company Limited, Tata Steel and Tata Autocomp System Limited at various positions during 2002 to 2008. He has around 110 research papers in peer-reviewed journals, 6 patents, 5 book chapters, 7 process technology. To his credit so far, has also edited a book. 6 researchers have completed their PhD under his supervision, and he's also supervised more than 25 postgraduates and 5 postdocs from India and abroad. We have with us Professor Dr. Bhagirathi Dwivedi, Associate Dean Research, Professor of Pediatrics at AIIMS Bhubaneswar, distinguished medical professional with over 25 years of experience in academic, patient care and research, formerly serving as Deputy Director at ICMRC Bhubaneswar. He has made significant contribution to pediatric medicine and tropical disease research in India. His accolades include the ICMR National Award for Excellence in Tropical Disease Research, WHO Overseas Fellowship of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, and Gold Medal in Pediatric and Physiology. With a career grounded in scientific excellence and humanistic values, he brings to the literary festival a spirit of inquiry, dedication, and vital intersection of science and society. We have with us Professor Sripath Karmalkar, Director of IIT Bhubaneswar, renowned academic and thought leader, celebrated for his pioneering research in semiconductor device modeling and decades of impactful teaching. With a distinguished tenure at IIT Madras and now at the helm of IIT Bhubaneswar, he has consistently championed academic innovation, interdisciplinary collaboration, and student-centric reforms. His work bridges the rigor of science with the openness of intellectual exploration, making him a compelling voice in conversations that transcend discipline. And I'll also like to introduce our moderator, but before that, can I ask people at the back, can you please settle down? And, if we can just make, everybody settle down so that we can let the session start. So we have Mr. Rohit Manchanda, who's going to moderate the session, an acclaimed academic, author, and researcher, currently serving as a professor at IIT Bombay, specializing in computational neurophysiology alongside his academic career. Also a celebrated novelist, with his debut book, In the Light of the Black Sun, later republished as A Speck of Coal Dust, winning the Betty Trask Award for its literary merit. His latest novel, The Enclave, which offers a sharp and humorous portrayal of womanhood in India, won the Best Fiction English Award at the Kalinga Literary Festival Books Award 2025. Beyond fiction, he has also contributed to institutional history with Monastery Sanctuary Laboratory, chronicling the evolution of IIT Bombay. So I'll let Mr. Rohit take this session forward from here. But once again, before I request him to do that, can I ask people at the back to please settle down? Girls, please sit down. Please take your seats. Those at the back, please take your seats. And I'll request the volunteers to please close the door. When the session is on, we do not want the disturbance, so I'll request people to get settled. Volunteers, please ensure those who want to enjoy the session, they need to be inside, get seated, and then we close the door, please. Thank you so much. I'll let Mr. Rohit take the session forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to our compere for the lovely introductions and for setting the scene for this panel. The first thing I would like to say is that I should congratulate and thank the Kalinga Literary Festival for this session, because it's very, very rare at a literary festival to have this sort of panel discussing these sorts of things that we'll be touching upon. Very often literary festivals confine themselves to literature seen perhaps from a narrowish point of view. But now what we want to touch upon is technology and science in the state of Odisha. The session says brand Odisha and then building excellence in the state. Now, how is that connected with literature? Well, there are actually several ways, because after all, there is as much scientific literature as there is other sorts of literature. And you need only think of people like Isaac Asimov, people like Carl Sagan, and so forth. And we know that literature and science can be intricately linked without really making it science fiction. That's one of the things that we'll touch upon, because the way in which, let's say, Oliver Sacks in the field of medicine and the others that I mentioned in the field of physics have popularized their own sciences um, needs to be done very, very badly in India as well. Needs to be propagated. There has to be this outreach so that students, in particular, and the general public can get to see what sorts of science and technology developments are taking place on the whole in the nation, but also perhaps particularly in the state that we are in right now, in Odisha. So I'll begin, however, on a slightly different note. Um, First of all, a very hearty welcome to our very, very distinguished panelists who have also been introduced. Thank you for joining us here. And I would like to say that, Odisha as a state over the 1970s and 80s when I was growing up wasn't very much in my consciousness, for instance. This is no comment on Odisha. It's a comment on how things were in the nation at the time. Uh, it's a little bit like Haryana. Haryana also never used to be in our consciousness. There were other states that loomed much larger. Um, and then we started hearing of people like Guru, Kelucharan Mahapatra, and so forth. And then slowly through the arts, Orisha started to impinge on our consciousness as a center, as a state where a great deal of wonderful art was being done. My mother used to speak about Kathak filigree, for instance. So art and dance and song and so forth. Now, as far as, let's say, the landscape of science and technology were concerned, we never used to hear about Odisha very much. And now I think Odisha is on at an inflection point where it's also taking off as a state where very strong, accomplished science and technology is getting done or is starting to get done. And I would like to talk to our panelists here about the challenges that are faced when starting up an enterprise, let's say the enterprise being science and technology, in a state where which has not been known for it as far as this. So, a couple of the institutes represented here, AIIMS, Odisha, and IIT Bhubaneswar. Now, these are actually fairly young institutes. They've only been in existence for the last 10 or 15 years. And although, of course, at a literary festival, one might say, well, 10 or 12 years, for a book, it seems to be a very long time. Books actually come and sometimes fade away in 10 or 12 years. But from what I have seen of institutional history, I wrote this book about IIT Bombay's history and the IIT system. 10 or 12 years for an institution is a very short time. An institution is still a fledgling, it's still almost an infant at that sort of age point. And I would like to ask our panelists of the two young institutes first to reflect on what have been the challenges in setting things up so that this point of excellence is attained. After all, we all expect a certain level of excellence of an IIT or of an AIIMS. And uh, at the start, there can be very many hurdles to overcome, challenges to face. And some of those would have been seen by our panelists here. So, could I possibly ask first Professor Dwibedi, he is right next to me, about his experience at AIIMS and reflect on this question a little bit, and then I'll pass the mic on.
Fine. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As you told, AIIMS Bhubaneswar is a new concept altogether. AIIMS Delhi was the only institute in the country to deal with complicated things in medical science for so many years. I think Dr. Vajpayee thought of establishing few institutes. Initial proposal was, I think, four around AIIMS Bhubaneswar, Jodhpur, Raipur, and Bhopal. I think four were there. They thought these areas were relatively underserved and their outreach population is more and more. So they're not able to reach Delhi or to cater to the services. So most possibly they thought in a second line like AIIMS, they didn't think in a prospective sense, it can grow to the extent like it can reach the level of AIIMS Delhi. So possibly that was the initial plan. Then subsequently they expanded to many institutes, 10, 20 institutes that has come up. So what challenges in that line I feel the infrastructure they have thought of, the plan they have thought of was not age magnificent is we think for next 50 years. So they planned for 50 students in AIIMS Bhubaneswar and for around 600, 700 beds for hospital setup. We have acquired around 100 acres, not more than 100 acres of land from Odisha. Then we started with that with a building infrastructure which can take up not more than 2,000, 3,000 patients per day like that. But when I see at the 10 years after means establishment was around 2014 or 12, 13 like that. When I see it 2024, if anybody goes to AIIMS Bhubaneswar, they'll be flooded with, they'll be definitely troubled with the number of patients, how to come in the queue and how to address that challenge of getting a ticket and number of days to wait for a surgery or something like that. That is becoming a challenge only because we have the limited hospital strength in terms of beds as well as faculty as well as all the staff infrastructure. So now the current challenge becomes is to get ministry approval or the approval from the finance, everything to set up new infrastructure, new faculties and new staffs altogether to promote it to a hospital like 2000 or 3000 beds like contemporary to AIIMS Delhi or in between south, so that none of our patients should have a requirement to go to Delhi or some other place. So each and every patient from this region can come to here and take it their settlement every time. And another thing is Odisha is not Bhubaneswar is not catering only to Odisha; it's also catering to nearby Jharkhand, West Bengal. Maybe 30% of our patients are coming from West Bengal and also Chhattisgarh. So in terms of facility and everything, it's growing up. If you look into faculty recruitment constraints, I was working at ICMR, RMRC Bhubaneswar I started in 2003, and I think in the same year only the foundation stone was laid down. But I never thought of joining AIIMS Bhubaneswar till 2015-16. I tried to think to join AIIMS Bhubaneswar around 2016. I applied and I got a post in 2018. Initial application I applied for some post, I think additional professor or something. But my panel of experts said that this is a new start only. So only undergraduates are there. What if your role in research everything may not be very good in this present scenario. So they didn't take me in the first selection process. Then next, possibly they thought when it's the PG courses something will take up, they can take up the faculties in a higher level. So that happened. So initial faculty recruitment also went on like that. We started building up new faculty in the best level like assistant professor. And when it started of getting post graduation and DM courses, then we thought to recruit more faculties in the higher level. So that way it is taken a good shape, but as I told, faculty challenges number is also coming up. And another thing is once a situation happened, all infrastructure has been set up. Now the thing is to go to the next step, maybe robotic surgery or some other things which require relatively high funding for the organization and from the country itself, and more or less coordination and other integration to make it a very robust organization. If you say at the current stage we are at the level second many times next to Delhi. Many times Jodhpur and Bhubaneswar compete with each other in terms of national ranking, and overall national ranking of ours in NRF ranking is only 15. So we think we have surpassed many other older institutes in terms of our own ranking in terms of medical care, treatment, research, every aspect. And many of our students have gone to abroad also. They have been doing very fine. So it's a good start, I can say. And definitely there are challenges to integrate and how to expand the scenario. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Dwivedi, for that candid response. He spelt out the ways in which AIIMS is falling short of its own expectations at the moment, AIIMS Bhubaneswar, and how those expectations now need to be met through various routes of endeavor. I would like to now ask Professor Karmalkar, with IIT Bhubaneswar, of course, with something like an AIIMS, there was only one AIIMS to start with, and then all the others came along by and by. With the IITs, there were already 5 and then 6 IITs on the scene, and then another wave of IITs came along, a second wave, and then a third one. And with IIT Bhubaneswar, there have been previous directors as well. I would like to hear from you as to where you think IIT Bhubaneswar is placed right now in relation to the other IITs. I mean, you have yourself been at various institutes of eminence before this. And I'd like to hear from you as to how IIT Bhubaneswar is now going to scale the ladder of excellence to reach to the such sorts of places that you have yourself been affiliated with in the past. There's...
Hello. Yeah, it's already on. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Manchanda. See, I am alumnus of IIT Madras, very coincidentally, I joined IIT Madras as a BTech student in 1978 when IIT Madras was 17-year-old. And today, IIT Bhubaneswar is also 17-year-old. But after 50 years, after 50 years. So it is a good idea to compare a 17-year-old IIT Madras 50 years ago versus a 17-year-old IIT Bhubaneswar after 50 years, how things are different, right?
In fact, if I may just add to that, in the early years of the first original IITs, people used to confuse the IITs with ITIs.
Right.
So little was known about the IITs. But now you're in a different position. So much is known about the IITs, and they're pedestalized to such a degree that you now have to meet another level of expectation.
Right, yeah. So, since you mentioned ITI and IIT in a lighter vein, I just want to share a personal experience. I used to play football C League at Hyderabad before I joined IIT. So when I told my colleagues there who used to play that, I have got an admission into IIT and I'm going to join there. So one of the players, he said, "Oh, IITI is very well known. And IITI, so are you going to join IITI football team there? And you will get a lot of scope." So that was the confusion between, I rightly pointed out, IITI and IIT. Okay.
And maybe I should point out for the benefit of the audience that the ITIs are meant for vocational training. The institutes where, for example, electrical plumbing is taught,
Right.
or just electrical craftsmanship.
Yeah. So in those days, incidentally, that was ITI Bangalore. That was well known. Now, coming back to this point, so when I joined as a student in 1978, the IIT Madras faculty were expected to do teaching and publish papers. So they were evaluated based on these two parameters. And that was true of other IITs also. Versus today, IITs, our expectations about IITs have gone up tremendously. For example, apart from teaching and research, the additions have been, one is industry-academia collaboration. People want more and stronger industry-academia collaboration. Then, the fourth thing is about developing entrepreneurs and startups. That is another area where IITs are expected to contribute. Now, very recently, since last year, IIT Bhubaneswar has also entered into another area, that is school education, training teachers for school education. So we have started, for example, a program called ITEP, Integrated Teacher Education Program. It has been launched all over the country, but only two IITs which have decided to start it in IIT is IIT Bhubaneswar and IIT Kharagpur. So this is a 4-year program, BSc BA, integrated program, out of which teachers who will teach at schools will come out. So these additions have come about because of the feeling that the IIT should influence the society much more than it could by merely teaching and publishing papers. So that is where IIT Bhubaneswar stands today. Apart from these, another thing is corporate social relations. For example, IIT Bhubaneswar today has adopted 5 villages nearby for development under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. So this is another area also where IITs are expected to, influence the society. So that being the case, today an IIT, you can say, has to be multifaceted and contribute in multiple ways. And that is what IIT Bhubaneswar is doing today. For example, let us take now peculiarities of Odisha and how IIT Bhubaneswar is helping there. Odisha is, and particularly Bhubaneswar area, for electricity and water. There is no dearth of electricity and water. Another thing is, Odisha government or state of Odisha has the best semiconductor policy. Now for semiconductor factory establishment, what you need is continuous supply of water and electricity. That is of paramount importance. In a place where this is not available, a semiconductor factory, manufacturing plant cannot, come up. So this is one a point of attraction that several people are thinking of establishing semiconductor facility in Odisha for this reason. Now, that is one of the areas where IIT Bhubaneswar is helping in establishing a facility for compound semiconductors. So we have a strong industry academia collaboration, what we call as a joint industry laboratory, where industry has invested 45 crores. I would think this is a unique example of any such experiment all over the country. No industry has invested that much into research, and that too cutting edge research like semiconductors. Now, yet another area is Manchanda ji talked about filigree, for example, as an art form. And then there are other art forms in Raghurajpur. Now, we have come to know that the filigree art form, though it is highly evolved, because of the way in which it is done, meaning individual artists trying to make these filigree, designs or filigree designs, it has to be mass productionized. So IIT Bhubaneswar is trying to see how we have examined the entire process of making a filigree design, and then how we can mass produce this so that the volume can be increased. We have been given to understand that because the production volume is low, this particular art form is falling behind similar art forms elsewhere in the country where production is higher. You take Raghurajpur, for example, they are highly evolved artists, but then they don't know how to advertise their art. Okay, how to use modern techniques, internet, app, and so on, and advertise themselves. Presently, the cost of the whatever they are producing is high because of the middlemen. So, how can we help these artisans and artists to advertise their art by themselves and then get full benefit of their art? So, that is developing entrepreneurship and other skills among them. Another area is minerals. Odisha is rich in minerals. So, how do we help this particular mineral industry? That is another area in which IIT Bhubaneswar is helping. So, in summary, IIT Bhubaneswar is like any other IIT in terms of the various areas in which it is trying to make impact, namely teaching, research, industry academia collaboration, entrepreneurship, then and extra thing is teacher education. And particularly to Odisha, it is helping the state in how to tap the minerals and how to optimize the process of mining them, and filigree and other art forms, how to bring them up, how to increase their production, and also in the area of semiconductors. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Kalmakar, because you have illuminated in your observations just the kind of thing that I was referring to, which is the local milieu, and how IIT Bhubaneswar is integrating with the local milieu. And I find your remarks about, let's say, filigree extremely interesting, because I had mentioned passingly that my mother used to speak about Cuttack filigree. And in those days, the only place that you could actually shop for that was to come to Cuttack and shop for it. And you're right, that's because production isn't all that much, and it's unique to this state. But perhaps with production scaling up, it can also become available elsewhere. Of course, that may go against the interests of Odisha tourism to bring people in for the filigree. And you also touched on materials, which is very nice, because that brings me to our next panelist quite naturally. Professor Narayan, you're director of the Materials and Minerals Institute. And Odisha is rich in minerals and materials. My father was once posted here because southeastern coal fields are present over here. Now, what would be your perspective? Your institution itself is one of long standing, I believe founded in 1974 or 64. I beg your pardon, 64. So it's an institute of long standing, and I would like to know how your institute has integrated with the local technological scene and the local cultural scene also in Odisha, particularly in view of the fact that minerals and materials are the stuff of everyday life now and figure so largely in people's consciousness as well.
Thank you and very good afternoon to all of you and Jai Jagannath to all of you. When I have been invited or ordered by Sir, the organizing team, to come to this Kalinga Literature Festival, that itself I was surprised at why we have been there. But as a scientist, if we understand science, the soul of science lies in literature and the culture of whichever zone and whichever we are. And that's why you are seeing that our new education policy, what our Professor Karmalkar sir is advocating, is coming to the mother tongue. If we are happy, if we have to do science with creativity, we must understand the literature and literary value of that, and history has given that. Coming back to your question, we are fortunate to have grown up with the city of Bhubaneswar. We were established in 1964, very new when city was also started growing. In Acharya Bihar, in the forest, we have started our journey. And that time, our senior people might be knowing that as RRL. It was established as RRL and it was renamed as IMMT, Institute of Minerals and Material Technology, in 2007. That itself shows RRL means what question you asked, sir? Regional Research Laboratory. It was the second series of CSIR laboratory where we have been established to use the regional resources. So we have started with mineral, we have started with forest product, but today in materialistic society, you cannot leave that. That's why we have added material. So to start with, sir, we have progressed with Odisha. God has gifted Odisha the longest sea coast. We have gifted the iron ore. We are the highest producer of chromite and the other minerals, graphite, whatever you think. And Biksit Bharat Road, what our Prime Minister is dreaming of. Today, we are looking for critical mineral, and Odisha is having that. So, if India has to become Biksit, it is the hub is the Odisha, and that has been developed. What we have been doing with Odisha, both scientifically, industrially, and culturally. Today, whatever iron ore industry, that beneficiation you saw in and around, start from Sukinda to Jajpur to other places, that place almost 14 of technology has come from IMMT to the bigger level, that is the iron ore. In chromite, similar thing has happened. The first ferrosilicon, first ferroalloy has come through your RRL. Then today, we are not also left over that in critical minerals, I am very happy to share with you by July, from chromite reject, the first platinum group of metal plant is coming to our place in July. It is from reject, platinum group of metal. You will get 1 ton, only 2 grams. But that is valuable. You are using mobile 86 element. In that 4-5 element are this one. So that's our country is looking for national critical mineral. But beside doing this mineral science we are doing, as a institute, what sir was talking, Karmarkar sir was talking, we have to keep our future ready for the science education. And that we are doing through Jigyasa program of CSIR. I have personally visited during last 2 years of my stay here, almost all part of Odisha. Start from Nabrangpur to Jharsuguda to any place you tell personally. And IMMT has put the Sanskriti culture, IP Rath in and around 100 kilometer of Odisha. And I was happy to see that our auto driver or truck driver used to explain intellectual property right to the farmers of Odisha. So that was the penetration we tried to do. Just recently, we have started the CSIR Vigyan Rath. That Vigyan Rath has gone to even Satpada, that our landlocked that island. And we were emotional to talk to the, every kids wanted to take that Rath to their village. So that is the type of curiosity. We have visited all around Odisha, then part of West Bengal, part of Jharkhand, and then way back to by our honorable president home to this place. Fourth thing, that if we'll come to culture, that what sir was talking, filigree. IIT has targeted design and material of filigree. That then, as a complementary to him, we have started the metal crafts. With Odisha government, we are running the project, and I will invite all of you. We have a metal craft center within our institute. First and foremost problem, that once they are doing the crafting, the smoke will be not good for their health. So we have drafted a very good technology we have given to melting furnace that will not give the smoke outside. So that is the our contribution for the craft sector. Then beside that, we have also designed the how to do productionized sheet metal. That coating we have given the technology, that how it should take the luster. And the best part, if we are want to understand science, we have to go to our Konark temple, we have to go to our Jagannath temple. We are trying to explore which type of building materials, how it is going to come. And that place, the beauty what we have started is replicating those material from the West. God has given lot of things to Odisha. We have to explore those materials. These are the advancement we are looking for. The silver door, whatever you made, the behind replica, we are talking of 3D printing, and our Jagannath temple replica is kept behind. We are also trying to see how cooking is done, top first, bottom up. Why? So a lot of things in a cooling effect of the building. Today we are putting air condition, but our Jagannath temple or Lingaraj temple doesn't require that. So we are trying to improvise on the building material. So we are learning from the literature, we are learning from the culture. That's why we are, if we want to do science for Atmanirbharta, science for Biksit, this is the way, and these are the places. We have also started. I don't know how to read Uriya, but I understand Uriya. I have gone to the poem, I have brought the books. By listening, we can understand, and we are trying to translate that. So that has been our journey. It is a fantastic journey. And beside that, if we'll go for food sector, we have started Mission Nabarangpur. In Nabarangpur, we have brought all across CSIR technology for making the district aspirational district. Now it is number one with state government support we have done. And Odisha Mining Corporation, the science technology department is always supporting us. And the biggest boon we are getting with IIT and AIIMS, both our institution is making the path, because the research what they do, I have to, my job is to make that to production level.
Right.
How it will come, the finding, we have collaboration with IIT, we have collaboration with AIIMS, and in all environmental aspects and all the things, we are having collaboration with those institutes, and all the institution has to grow. I am very happy to tell all of you that right now, Odisha is on the faster trajectory. We have IIT, we have ICT, we have AIIMS, we have ISER, we have KIT, we have SOA, we have so many centurion, so many universities. So now education, science, technology, culture, minerals, mine, everything is growing together. So Odisha, whatever you told history, that you have not come from Mumbai, now they have to come and take training from it.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. And thank you very much for that overview, very, very insightful overview of, yeah, I'll just give a second. Especially, you know, I had my reservations about bringing culture into the picture, but you have very, very nicely expounded how culture can also be a part of technology and how both can contribute to each other. Culture to technology and technology to culture in so many ways. And Orissa is so rich in arts and crafts. One only needs to think also about weaving technology here and saris, pipli, the applique work, and so forth. So, Professor Karmarkar, you wish to make a
Yeah,
point?
just
Yeah.
one short point I missed after Ramanuji said. So, for example, IIT is a knowledge partner in Odisha Research Center, which is doing research on the art, culture, and history of Odisha. So, I thought I should, that is in Kalinga Literary Festival, I should be mentioning that.
absolutely.
And in fact, most of those workshops and so on are held in IMMT, right? So, that is a kind of collaboration we are having there.
Great. Okay.
Yes, sir, all of you should know about Odisha Research Center, and I know all of you have to support it. It is the initiative of Honorable Minister Sri Dharmendra Pradhanji that he has brought that Odisha Research Center with Indian cultural
Yes.
ICSSR.
I've heard
And
about
it
it.
is
Yeah.
in ICT building, and that place, sir is supporting, we are supporting. AIMS will also join that how to bring science out of that, medicine out of that. That is the whole aim of the center.
Wonderful. I've heard of that, the research center actually, in other contexts. It's a very good initiative. Now, I've been told that somehow time has flown and we only have 5 minutes left. I have two options before me. One is if there are burning questions amongst the audience, then we could invite questions. And otherwise, I would like to bring up this notion of how science and technology, medicine should engage with literature, especially at the local level. We have all been speaking of focusing on the local level. And in Odisha, let's say, what needs to be done, and how would you like participants from the literary side at KLF to approach your institutes and collaborate with you in order to take science to the people, take technology to the people? Would you like to reflect on that? But may I first ask if there are one or two particular questions that you would like to, yeah. Is there a mic?
Hello, yeah. Myself, Dr. Jibitya Sarath, I spent 40 years outside Odisha, born and brought up in Odisha, and traveled abroad lot. My point is, we are the society, Odia and Odia ecosystem we are talking, we are, Odia people are satisfied very quickly, no? We don't have a dream. We dream, but we
Please
don't
hold
have-
the mic closer.
Yeah. So what you are telling, I am thankful that some new things are coming. But if I compare it to other states, I was in defense sector and steel and mine sector, 40 years in corporate area. Okay. When I visited abroad every year, United States, Europe, I also compare India. When I stay in Odisha for 5-6 months, I compare with other states. My observation or question what you like, what is the speed of our growth? What is the speed of our involvement or your dream of IIT Bhubaneswar or dream of AIMS or a dream of IIM? IMT, I was born and brought up at Acharya Bihar. I have seen RRL my young days, okay? So last point is, can you tell us what is the outcome next 5 years? What we are planning? IIT, especially IIT Bhubaneswar.
Sure.
AIMS, I think, bogged down with the day-to-day problem. IIMT, I have visited a couple of times. So my request is, don't sell dream to Odias what next 5 years you would want to do or outcome.
Okay, thank you for that question. And
thank you for
yeah.
the question. We are not showing the dream. We are trying to translate the dream into reality. And time frame, I am telling that I request you, you visit during last 2 years of my tenure. You come and visit, you will see a perceptible change in RRL. If you have not visited, I will invite you. That the vibrancy. You talked about Odia people. No, Odia people are silent people. They are not lazy people. Only you have to wake them up correctly. And you will find their presence everywhere. And I have charged my people. We have 100 scientists. You go and see the chart. Second thing, I told you, in India, if critical mineral will come during 5 years, right now, all the ministries is looking for us, looking to IIT. In Hydrogen Valley, we have got in IIT the best valley. So we are going towards reality. And you know, best part, sir, has missed out somehow. 100 cube. Now, sir will be talking you about 100 cube. When Odisha will become 100, IIT is going to bring 100 company with minimum 50 crore to 100 crore turnover.
So
That is the deal.
let's hear about that, and what is the time frame
So,
envisaged for that?
the very fact that a person of a different organization has mentioned about it, that shows the value of the particular initiative. There's 100 cube. We plan to mentor at least 100 startups, each worth more than 100 crores by 100th year of Odisha, that is 2036. So this is one of the real targets. Second thing I mentioned to you about semiconductors. It is happening now. Whatever is going to happen in next 2-3 years. It is not about future. And he put very nicely, it is not about showing dreams. It is about realizing. So we are all in the process of realizing. Third thing is about filigree, I mentioned. So each of these, actually a project is being worked out right now. How I have even been to the place where a land has been allocated, a center of excellence will be established, where this filigree production, how to do more and so on, it will be demonstrated in practice in next 2-3 years. So,
Thank you very much. You did raise your hand, but may I take the liberty of coming back to the literature question and say, how can literature engage with institutes?
At 3 points. If you think of IIM Bhubaneswar, I think the treatment and research provided at present is world class. It's not any way inferior to IIM Delhi or any setup. Besides, few things have not come up like some transplant surgeries. Suppose we have already established kidney transplant, liver transplant is also being started also in the process. A few stem cell other things are also in the shape. So almost within next 1 or 2 years, everything will be set up. Nobody has to go to any place. Robotic surgery also coming up in the next year, most possibly. So it will not take more than 1 year to establish each and everything at IIMS Bhubaneswar. Only thing that how many number of patients we can deal with, that will depend upon the future scope. Otherwise, each and every facility, I think it will be available. If you just want to add 1 or 2 lines regarding health and literature, actually each and every faculty publishes good piece of publications, more than 1,000, 1,500 research publications come to the literature, scientific literature. But that is not very well understood by each and every person. But the another problem now we are facing is because of information technology and social media very active, so that many Facebook, YouTubes were active in many forms of health information. But to filter it out by common man, which is right and which is wrong, that need to be taken care of very judiciously. For that, in that case, I think literature experts can link up with experts from the faculty like AIMS and good setups to produce a standard literature which will be very precise, very common, and common means understandable to the common man, and in terms of either preventive or curative practices, we should produce some good literature in over the year, so that the confusion which is being created by many mass should be overshadowed. When suppose giving one example, somebody say that alcohol is good for some cancer, alcohol is good for something like that, smoking is something good, some protective. Many things come up in a different way to common man. So people get confused what to do actually. So in this case, I think IIMS Bhubaneswar or any organization like this and literature experts should combine to produce a good piece of literature for lasting time. That's all. Fine.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm being signaled to close the session.
Only end on literature. I request to all of you, please provide us the old information, 365 information in the literary. They say, I have collected some Hindi caveat for farmers. जैसे का वर्षा जब कृषि सुखाने, by they will say the indication that which things you should do into the when nakshatra is there, that Mirgisra nakshatra, if you see this color, this will not come. So we are translating those idea into science. They are bigger science. Corona has taught us the observation what doctor was talking from AIMS, that beware the person whoever has taken the corona dose of Covaxin, everybody body our CSIR is 15 mcg, because I was also involved in making with my team, our director, Dr. Srivari Chandrasekhar, former DSP secretary, Covaxin TRL 6/8 molecule was made by our laboratory. So, but it has come through literature. It has come through your observation. So all young people, everybody, you have certain bit of idea, don't hesitate it. If you have a good literature from the older one, give to us. We will bring science into that, and we are extracting mineral science. That zinc science is the oldest science, and that we are still practicing. Or in IMMT, we are going to establish minerals and metal history of India Park for education of Odisha. That is the type of literature we are trying to do.
That's wonderful. I think that is absolutely excellent. And if I may take the liberty of extending this invitation on your behalf, on the behalf of all of you, I would also invite people with a literary instinct and a literary bent of mind to please approach the institutes and see what you can write about. Now, for instance, I feel that what you said about learning from ancient architecture as to how to keep buildings cool, just one example out of the many that you cite. And Professor Karmalkar, what you said about contributing to filigree technology and scaling up, and what you said about making public health more accessible, more widely accessible. These sorts of things need to be known widely, and perhaps they're just not covered in the media as much as they ought to be. As to what lies in the future, and it has to be someone who can write well, who can think well, who has a literary instinct, who can marry these ideas with literature and bring them out in an engaging way for a larger audience. I think these sorts of things will then also help to raise Odisha's profile, not just within the state, but also across the country as to the various initiatives that are being taken. We desperately need, I think, for all this to happen alongside all the science and technology and medicine that are happening within the institutions. We need all of this to be, well, it's called outreach very often, but I would just say it just needs to be written about and read about on a massive scale. And that is really what will bring literature and science and technology together in a meaningful way. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, just one more point. So in IIT Bhubaneswar, we are making a 2-credit course compulsory for all students of IIT Bhubaneswar on Indian knowledge systems, where contributions in Odisha will also be present in that.
Perfect. Yes, thank you. Well, thank you for your patience. I know that we have overrun our time a little bit, but I think it was very engaging,
yes,
extremely interesting. So thank you all very much.
Absolutely. Can we have a big round of applause for this wonderful discussion, this panel? And do we have Mr. Satyapal Rajguru here with us? Mr. Satyapal Rajguru, if he's not here, I'll request Mr. Ashok Bora to please join on stage and do the honors to felicitate our wonderful panelists. Very, very important session, Brand Odisha, Centers of Excellence. I mean, once again, let's hear it for our panelists and our moderator. And we would like to take this opportunity to also give a token of appreciation from the KLF family to each one of them. We only have a short break of 20 minutes now. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be resuming the sessions at 2:20 now. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for that wonderful session. And as mentioned, we have a short 20 minutes break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be meeting at 2:20 p.m. for the next session, which is Rewriting Tradition, Ms. Arshia Satar in conversation with Professor Jatindra Kumar Naik. So we expect to see you at 2:20 p.m. here for that session. That's it. Thank you so much. See you in 20 minutes.